every instance of plugging into something is a risk. And so, you do have to be careful each time. And so if you're plugging in more often than somebody else, then potentially, the safest place to plug in is probably at your own home, where the network, it's protected, nobody can tamper with it. People move quickly, people are tired, people are trying to get home, they're trying to charge their car really quick, and they pull into a place and they don't notice, that it's different or something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it is just a constant vigilance kind of thing. There's some regulation starting to be talked about. It's very slow to catch up to the current status of everything. And so it's really, we're probably still understanding what the risks are as a population. And even with basic cybersecurity habits, people are still not up to par. There's still too many basic things that people shouldn't be doing that they're still doing. And
Mm.
so, our organization, nonprofit, public education sector, we're trying to share what those best practices are, what people should be thinking about, and what they should be doing to keep themselves safe online. And this is certainly something that we're, doing research on and continuing to talk about and, understanding as time goes on what these threats look like. So the risk is certainly there. I just don't know what the specific likelihood is for any one person to have any kind of impact from it. I think that's just yet to be seen. Well, we've certainly had situations of other internet connected devices being used for different reasons and finding out that the data is not secured the way we thought it was, or finding out that devices are compromised to carry out other malicious activities, such as what we call botnets, or a series of compromised devices that are being used to spread malware and spam and distributed denial of service. So we have seen that, and we need to learn from those examples as how to mitigate those things. And we have heard a couple of things the past couple of years about software bill of materials and kind of knowing what software is in your devices and how you can trust that software and that it's secured and all these things. So we're starting to put the pieces together. I think it just takes time, and it's a complicated, complex, evolving issue that much of the population doesn't understand. And so experts are trying to lead the way in terms of understanding how to mitigate these risks for individual consumer perspectives. Um, and the headwinds against that are the pace of innovation, the pace of capitalism, and trying to be first to market, trying to get your product out there, trying to make sure it works right, trying to make sure that you're being competitive. And so sometimes, security is put on the back burner when you're trying to be first to market or when you're trying to have the best possible product. So that's kind of something that we've seen in the electric charger networks, is where there's a lot of innovation happening there and there's a lot of competition. And so people care about range, people care about how long it takes to charge their vehicle, people care about how much it costs, but they're not yet as concerned about what software vulnerabilities are in the charging device's software and what it can do to your vehicle or how they're securing your information. So those are things that we're starting to want to educate people about so that they can be at least aware of these things and what to look out for. We have seen in researching, research activities from professionals that are able to completely take over a vehicle and control different functions of the vehicle. We have seen it happen in research scenarios. I don't think we've seen it happen in the wild or in mass. It is certainly a possibility that this could happen. And those researchers are doing that work to prove what's possible and then bring that work back to the manufacturer so that they can make a fix for it in the vehicle itself. So I think our hope is that that continues and that you know, adversary simulations continue to happen against these devices. We can call a vehicle a device that's connected to the internet, right? So just testing and making sure that we're staying on top of these potential vulnerabilities and fixing them in advance of them being rolled out in mass. And certainly, using secure communication protocols and strong authentication and encryption and all the things that help keep these devices secure when they're on the internet. We haven't seen any evidence of this happening in the real world. I mean, we've seen it in movies and TV and things like that so far. I mean, there are other situations that are much more common where you may want to carry something in the vehicle to help let yourself out, other than it being taken over by an attacker. But certainly if it's something you're worried about, you're welcome to uh, do that. I mean, I don't know how the locks on these vehicles work. If you're able to let yourself out or not with a mechanical, handle or anything like that. And again, I haven't seen this happening in the real world. I have seen, research reports or demonstrations of taking over all the functionalities of a vehicle, including, braking, accelerating, steering, navigation, all the things. Again, though, in research environments where you've got engineers working to see what they can do if they were able to get that type of access. We have not seen this happening, in the wild. So um, the threat exists, but I think the likelihood today is low that anything like that would happen. There's lots of different kinds of malware and malicious types of software that exist today that may work on vehicles or may not, depending on what the vehicle uses in terms of its software stack. But um, I think that remains to be seen. It's really any product that's connected to the internet that uses software. We all software receives updates and patches as time goes on, as things are discovered. There is no 100% secure piece of software in anything. And so when you have, domestic, foreign, wherever, software in a critical operating device like a vehicle, they're gonna, I think they come with a certain level of reliability, um, but they don't know what they don't know, right? Like attackers are always experimenting and always trying to find new ways to break things. And that's what a lot of this research is about figuring out what's possible and then, handing that information over to defend against it. Um, there are certainly, ways to lock down access to the vehicle that hopefully is already happening. Um, but we've seen time and time again in all sorts of software systems throughout the world, ways that attackers eventually find their way in and disrupt things. So, it again, it's a risk. It remains to be seen how widespread of an issue it could become. I mean, I think we just haven't seen it massively exploited yet. I mean, we've seen things like smart locks being compromised. We've seen attackers being able to, intercept Wi-Fi and access networks and all sorts of things in other types of devices. So it wouldn't be surprising to see this happen in electric vehicles. I just don't think if you're an attacker, they haven't found a need or a way to do that yet that benefits them.
Mm.
At some point, it certainly is possible. We've seen the research as to these things that are possible. But as of right now, we're not seeing mass exploitation of those types of vulnerabilities. So, I mean, I think again, we want to continue to educate people on what to look for. I think the biggest risk today is data theft and personal information being leaked. But I think the future, remains to be seen if somebody tries to attack a moving vehicle or something like that. And hopefully vehicle companies are thinking of ways to prevent that from happening today. It's similar to other forms of data theft. If you learn about your information being stolen, you want to go ahead and call your bank, call your credit card companies and have them cancel everything and let them know that you think your information has been compromised. In the US, we have a credit reporting system. So you would notify the credit reporting agencies and let them know, to put a fraud alert on your account or freeze your credit and things like that. It's really about monitoring your accounts for activity that isn't you. It's looking for things that seem out of place or strange. A similar analogy I made to another interview yesterday was credit card skimmers on gas station pumps. So where you put in your card and there's a device layered on top of it that the gas station didn't put there. So educating people that those can exist and that so when you're looking at an electric charging station at your own vehicle, just unusual activity, not giving it to somebody that you don't know and all these kinds of things, just to kind of, use common sense and to, just watch for unusual activity on your accounts and in your vehicle itself.